This is Celia Rollins, and I am here to present part two of wholesale sourcing this evening. Hope everyone's doing all right. Now we're just going to jump right in. So, last week, just to recap what we discussed, we talked about what is wholesale, we covered the pros and cons, we talked about wholesale terms, we covered required documents to open wholesale accounts. We covered the key points to remember, ways to source for products, showed you some examples, showed some wholesale suppliers, talked about the grocery category, and we covered reverse sourcing, right? In part two, tonight we are going to talk about the tools for reverse sourcing just a little bit, just to reiterate. I did talk about that last week. I just want to show it again. We're going to talk about drop shipping for wholesale. Three, we're going to talk about finding wholesale drop shippers with ASD. Number four, ways to reach out to wholesalers. Five, maintaining your accounts. And six, keys to remember. That will be tonight for part two. So I just wanted to cover again. I know I showed you some tools that I had on my Amazon, and I just wanted to talk about them just a little bit more. When you're doing reverse sourcing, I like to validate how well the product is selling with some research tools. And those tools were DS Amazon Quick View, Keepa, Camel, AMZ Scout Calculator, and Rev Seller. Now, Rev Seller is paid and Keepa is paid. The other three are free Google plugins. And I just want to show you again what they look like. Here it talks about what they do, but I just like to show you a little bit. So we're going to just look and see what those tools look like. I'm going to come out a little bit here. Oops, sorry. Just want to go to Amazon so you can see the tools. So I just typed in Christmas candy in the search bar just so I can get some products up. I'm just going to click on these Reese's because, for one, they're good, my favorite. And just to show you the tools. No, I'm sorry, go back because I can't show you DS. This is what DS Amazon Quick View looks like. Again, you can find it in your Google Chrome. This is what the tool looks like here. At the bottom, where you see this information, a little snippet on the page, your search page, you'll see the BSR, the category, who is selling it, how many sellers. This is what DS Amazon Quick View looks like in action. So I just wanted to scroll a little bit so that you can see that. So that's one tool. Then when you click on an item, just to look further, and I'm going to scroll down, and this is our all famous Keepa. This is our Keepa. Keepa is a paid tool now, but it's so worth it. And again, I did say this last week, but Keepa just gives you a snapshot in time of what's going on with that product. How many sales, who's selling it, what's the rank. You can also click to see the history. You can see for a day, week, month, 3 months, or a year. Okay, or for the life of the product, as long as it was listed on Amazon. So this is Keepa. And that gives you some great information, some detailed information, so you can dig a little deeper about the product. And over here, camel, It's kind of blended in. So you see camel, camel, camel down here. And I think I mentioned something else. Up here, um,
You mentioned Rev Seller and you
yes, AMZ Scout.
yep, AMZ Scout and Rev Seller, yep.
So AMC Scout is here. And this is just another way where you put the product cost in, the shipping costs and all of your costs out of pocket, and what the product is selling for, you can see what your return would be. So this is a nice little plugin to have. We learned this one a while ago. I still use it. You can also see the estimated monthly sales here. So you can get a general idea of how many times that item sells in a month. And you can see the profits. Of course, that looks really good because I didn't put anything in, but the purpose is to just show you the tool and how it works. And the last one that I've been using for about the last year is Rev Seller, and that's right here. And I like Rev Seller because again, it gives you a snapshot right there. You don't have to click anything. Once you install it onto your browser and you log in with your Amazon account, it will put the plug in. Again, it's a paid tool, but for me, it's worth it. You know, I've been selling for a while, so tools make things so much easier for me, my research and my time. So this is Rev Seller here. And I like it also because it gives you the top 3%, you know, 1, 2, 3%. So you can already see real quick whether or not it's even um, in the top 3. Gives you the
Yeah, that's
rank, ASIN, UPC. That's another thing, especially when you're selling on eBay.
or Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, both
That's
of
my new
those.
one. That UPC is right there. Okay, so those are the tools. So I just wanted to show you what those tools were here, and I talked about them last week. Just wanted to show you what they look like. Okay, so drop shipping. We covered this a little bit last week, but I want to go over it again, like in a different light. Drop shipping, of course, it's a way to sell products where you don't have to touch them. You can just go directly to the source and send it to the customer after they pay, after they order and pay. You process the order. It comes directly from whatever source you're using. That's basically drop shipping in a nutshell, where you don't have to actually ship it yourself. But for wholesale, I just wanted to show you another approach when you're looking for wholesalers that actually offer drop shipping. And I've been using in the past year a site that we are familiar with, ASD. You know, ASD is a very popular conference that they used to have a couple times a year. And of course, with COVID going on, it's been online, which actually is a nice benefit because you don't have to attend. Matter of fact, when it was going on, you don't really have to attend to get access to the vendors and the exhibitors. You can go on the site, click around and look and actually get all the information of all the vendors that are being featured at the conference. And it looks something like this. I'm going to show you outside of the presentation, but I just wanted to show you the kind of information that you can get right from the ASD site. And not just ASD. I'm using it as an example, but you know, a lot of the sites now, they're actually listing the exhibitors and the suppliers right on the site. They give you the link, the name, the actual link. When you click on it, I'm gonna show you in a minute. We're going to go see what that looks like. And once you go to the site here, and a lot of sites are different. You probably have to click and look at the drop downs to see. But this one is online market, and you can search vendors. I'll click here. Just want to make sure this one might be a little sluggish. So this says, welcome to the online market. I'm going to click search vendors. I guess that was it. And you can see there's a beautiful list right here. It is clickable. It gives you the exhibitor's name. These are wholesalers. And it has a nice little chart. And this little icon right here, it says drop shipping. This one goes even further, private label, and they have a product a gallery that you can look at. But here is drop shipping. So I would just scroll down and see the ones that have that little icon. An example right here, 365 Fashions Incorporated. So you just have to click and look just to see if they're in business, active. It gives you their website. It gives you the categories that they cover. It gives you a nice little company profile. Their specials that they offer, products, additional info. And down here it says drop shipping, yes, private label, yes, e-commerce friendly, yes. So then you can go even further and actually click on the link. You can see where they're located to. Click on the link. Let's see. And this is 365fashions.com. So you can go to their site, get the information. Everything is here. And you would just go through. This is just a great resource, that you can use to go through, and look at wholesale suppliers right here at your fingertips. Everything is sorted for you. You can see what they offer here. Look at all these icons that's for drop shipping. You got Ace World, and they're in alphabetical order, so you can spend quite a minute. Even American Linen, that's not wholesale drop shipping. But I just wanted to show you this resource. It's just another way to find wholesalers and to also see if they offer drop shipping as an option.
I love that list. I also have another site that I have used in the past. It doesn't just have drop shippers, it's a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to dig into it a little bit, but I'm going to show my screen for just a second.
Sure.
Okay. So this is Web Retailer, and they have
Nice.
online marketplaces for 2020. So for those of you that are looking for wholesale suppliers, some wholesale suppliers are in here. But the great thing about it is you begin the process of doing research. So these are the world's top online marketplaces, and of course Amazon is first. So you can clearly tell that's not a wholesale supplier. But when I scroll down just a little bit, what I do get is some beneficial information when it comes to doing research. So we have the top categories sold by online marketplaces. And so these are the top categories. There's a general category. Then there's fashion. So fashion is the number 2 category that's sold. And so if it's the number 2 for online marketplaces, more than likely it is also probably the number 2 for drop shipping. Then you've got electronics, housewares, books, arts, crafts, music, collectibles. So this is beneficial information to know. What are people buying? I don't know how toys is number 11. Weapons made it up to number 10. You can tell us in the US. But, but in any case, just the fact that you can see this information. So toys made it into the top 11. I'm surprised it's not in the top 10, but it's in the top 11. collectibles and antiques. So for those of you that are looking for wholesale suppliers, like that's not what you're going to be looking for, but you got music, you got books. So wholesale for fashion, definitely. Wholesale for electronics and housewares, definitely.
Mhm.
Wholesale for arts, crafts, and gifts, definitely. Weapons, if you find a platform you can sell them, maybe you got a Shopify store, maybe you sell them there. Wholesale for toys, definitely. So those are the categories that are moving. And then as I go down, it's got online fashion marketplaces. So these are marketplaces in which people are selling things, but there will be some wholesale suppliers mixed in with some of those. Then you've got electronics again. So G2A, I know, has got wholesale. So there's going to be wholesale suppliers mixed in. And then homewares, again, doing the research, looking at some of these marketplaces. So I would encourage you, like, you can go to a couple of different sites to just try and find what's happening. So the top marketplaces in the region, so US and then South Asia and then Europe and South America. But in any case, giving you some ideas what to potentially sell wholesale or what to do research on when it comes to wholesale. And then using the tools that Celia just shared with us. Again, another way to incorporate those together.
Mhm.
So you can take the screen.
Okay. That's good stuff, Nicole. Thank you. Okay, so our next slide, I just want to talk about three main ways to reach out to wholesalers. And I'm going to try to remember to add my actual, a sample of each. Nicole, just remind me to do that because I had a little script. I'll try to add that,
Okay.
for a
Sample of each.
resource.
Okay.
But three ways, and basically website contact. And that's like I showed you last week, when you go to that website, even tonight, you scroll down, look for the contact information. Sometimes they have an actual contact form right on the site. That's what I do for the coffee companies. And you just fill in all of your information, submit it. And a lot of times they'll call to verify and you get an email, you're in. So that's one way to reach out. Another way is email. And I have a little script for that, but you can get the email information, send them a little snippet introducing yourself, what you're looking for, um, and see how, if they're open, they can help you and go from there. They'll email you back, they'll get contact. Some of them are pretty good with that. And of course, the phone call. And I had a little script for that too. And you're basically saying the same thing. You're introducing yourself. You want to ask for the right contact person, and you go from there. Those are the main ways that I reach out to wholesalers. And then maintaining your account. So once you get the accounts, of course, you want to follow through. You want to go ahead and process your orders. You want to track the products and your sales, just to see how things are going. Um, you want to add more products from their line, of course. Again, that's adding to building that relationship. I like to do some bundles, multi packs. That's just another way to add to your product line, building those relationships, and going on for the next one, your next account. Once I think you kind of get the feel for it, you can move on to wholesale account number two, and then wholesale account number three. There's no time constraints or something that says you have to have 100 accounts when you start. I don't recommend that at all. But starting one at a time, or you're contacting a few each day, but you're actually picking up a few accounts at a time, I think is the best approach for the beginner. Now, seasoned sellers is different, but I think for people starting out, that's the best approach.
The other thing that I would say is, initially when you're first starting and you're not really sure what your specialty is going to be, what your niche is going to be, what you're going to focus on, establishing a couple of wholesale accounts just so you can kind of get a feel for their catalog, get a feel for what's in there is not going to hurt you until you narrow it down. And then you focus on, whatever it is that you're going to focus on if you're going to be work on niche or whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
So establishing a couple at the beginning, and maybe those that have a pretty good catalog that has lots of different options available to you is not a bad way to get started. And also practicing reaching out to wholesale suppliers. Maybe you never intend to sell a specific thing, but getting used to approaching them and reaching out to them, approaching a couple of them is also not a bad idea just to practice. So if you never ever plan on selling guns,
Mm-hmm.
but you want to practice reaching out to them just to know what are some of the questions that they might ask you, what are some of the things that they might want from you. Can begin that practice by maybe going into reaching out to wholesale suppliers that you maybe are not planning on ever doing any business with, but you want to get that experience behind uh, responding to them and giving them the information and the feedback so that when you do finally figure out what your niche is going to be and what your focus is going to be, that you know how to effectively and appropriately reach out to those wholesale suppliers
Mm-hmm.
and have more success in connecting and getting that account established.
Right, definitely. Good, good. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Keys to remember. How did I give you something? Okay. These are just a few points I just want to bring out. Watching your profit margins. I know everybody has a different approach to your profit margins. You just want to make sure you're in profit. So you just have to calculate your thresholds. I know some people are comfortable with 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever your thresholds are, top 3%, one, two, three. Just set that. Make sure you set your thresholds to watch your profit margins. Check for additional shipping fees. That's another thing. Sometimes they offer free shipping up to a certain amount. Um, but if you fall under, you might have to pay a shipping fee. So that's something else to watch. Shipping turnaround times. Um, as you begin to open up your accounts and get your accounts, you'll learn different wholesalers have different turnaround times. I know when I order from Uline, my stuff is here in 2 days. From my coffee company, my stuff is here the next day. When I order from the syrup company, it takes 2 weeks. So know your shipping turnaround times and just allow for that. And another thing I say a lot is build those relationships because there are times where wholesalers will reach out to you if they have like a new item, if they see that you're selling like honeys and syrups and they have a new one that comes out for the fall. They may call you and ask you, you interested in trying one of our new syrups? It just came out. We can send you 12 or 24. You may eventually get one of those calls like I did, something I had no intention on selling, like Nicole said, but I did it. So just watch those. That can work to your advantage. Anything else, Nicole? Keys?
I think those are some of the big ticket items for sure. I think the biggest one is shipping times because
Mm-hmm.
you got to know, and also if you're working with a wholesale supplier, if this is something that's popular, also find out what's happening with their inventory levels and their availability.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a story. We used to sell the fingerlings, and so when the fingerlings first came out, they had specific colors
Mm-hmm.
and specific kinds. And then they came back and offered a different kind, but they said they're not going to be available or from the manufacturer until XYZ date. Well, that got delayed and that got delayed and that got delayed. So being it, and then so you've now offered it, and whatever it is you were planning to sell, not pretending to sell, but planning to sell. And so the problem is that because of that, you've now got a situation where you have people expecting a product, maybe you pre-sold, and it's not coming. So stay connected with your wholesale supplier all the time, especially when it comes to products that could potentially be something that you've added to your product line, however you're selling your wholesale products, whether you're selling them directly on Amazon, eBay, or if you've got a Shopify store, but you put a little caveat on there that says these will be available in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, and your wholesale suppliers change the availability. So you need to be mindful of that. You also need to be aware of limited quantities. Again, you're the only person working with that wholesale supplier. So if there's a little kink in their supply chain with the manufacturer or whatever it happens to be, maybe it's the person who makes the bags that the coffee goes in. That office or that warehouse or whatever the manufacturing plant is closed. You can't even get your bags. So you need to be mindful of what's happening with your wholesale supplier at all times, so that way you're not caught off guard and you can keep your customers happy, because at the end of the day, it's all about keeping the customers happy.
That's for sure. And when you're doing those bundles and you have those different pieces, like if you have 6 pieces and they're from different suppliers, again, like Nicole said, you got to watch that too. Maybe have a backup just in case, like I had
Always
to
have a
do.
backup if you
Like
can.
I had to
Especially,
do.
yeah, especially if it's a popular item. Always have a backup
Mm-hmm.
supplier, and make sure your backup supplier is not sourcing from your supplier.
Right.
Supplier
Woo, yes.
sourcing from your supplier. Both of y'all host.
Mm-hmm.
Have a backup, so you have a game plan and ready to go.
That's
Mhm.
true.
So,
Okay.
so what else did we want to share? There was that the extra thing you wanted to make sure I didn't forget?
Yes, that
Okay.
was it. Because right here is questions.
All right. So I'll check to see if we have any questions in the Facebook group. And hold on just 1 second. And we'll get you guys. I know that we do have a sample letter. I really just need to pull that out. So we'll get you a sample letter for, approaching wholesale suppliers. And like we said before, a list of questions, things that you need to make sure you ask the wholesale supplier, or that the wholesale supplier may ask you.
Right.
Okay. All right. So
All
I
right.
think that's it for now.
Yes, that's it.
All
So,
right.
like, if anybody has any other questions, they can post them in the group, of course, and we'll make sure we get those resources
Absolutely.
added for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sawyer, for your time,
And thank you, Nicole.
your presentation. All right.
Take care now. Good night.
All right. Bye.